This is how to get more students and earn a higher income as an online teacher just by becoming an authority in this space. If you don't know who I am, I'm Ash. I'm an English teacher, content creator, and an ELT coach. I have about 2 million followers across social media, and I've released successful courses and built communities from scratch. But I believe that the most valuable thing that I have and the most valuable thing that you can have as a teacher is authority. And authority has helped me get to where I am today. And without that, I wouldn't have anything. So let me tell you why it's so important and how you can get this authority to achieve the same things. Now, let me take you back to when I first started teaching. I used to teach at a primary school and I loved it there. It was so nice. The kids were so lovely, but there were a few issues. The days were super long, creating lesson plans for hours on end. There were a lot of behavioral issues, so sometimes it felt like I was just a babysitter. And there was a huge lack of progression. I felt like I'd already hit the cap for what I could achieve. I felt like I was just going to be stuck in that same position for the next 10, 20, 30 years of my life. So I decided to do something crazy and I quit. And my goal was to become an online English teacher. That was my dream. I'll become an online English teacher. I'll have freedom. I can travel around. I can go explore. I wanted to visit Asia, so I can go explore Asia. So I got my qualifications and I jumped into the big wide world of online English tutoring. And the first place I ended up was here, Preply and Amazing Talker. These are platforms, if you don't know, teaching platforms, and they sucked. I hated my time there because you were gated from earning more. It was such a struggle to find students. I could barely find any students there, to be honest, because you have to rely on their search, right? You rely on their search features. And so I didn't have any students coming in, or barely any students coming in. And the students that were coming in only came in because I had to drop the price so much. I was charging $8, $10 a class, which is less than minimum wage here in the UK. So I was really, really struggling. And that led me to feeling super, super broke financially. And also just having like such bad mental health, wondering when is my next student going to come? Please, please, Preply, Amazing Talker, find me some more students because I don't know how to get them myself. And I was in this position where I was just not enjoying myself, not having fun, and I was starting to lose passion. And I thought, this can't be it, right? This can't be the pipeline that I go through, going from a primary school teacher into this career where I just feel super undervalued. And so what I did was a bit of research. I looked at the top teachers on the platform. And the first one, number one, was this guy, Dr. Echo. And I was like, okay, interesting guy. He's got a few qualifications. And I checked out his prices. He was charging 10 times more than me. This was crazy to me. I was so shocked. How is he able to do this? So I checked out his profile and he was on YouTube. And all he was doing was just reading Shakespeare on YouTube. Did he have a great accent when he was reading? It was okay. Did he pronounce a lot of the words incorrectly? Yes. But still, he was on YouTube and he was getting tons of students and he was able to put his prices up to this price, which was unheard of on the platform when everyone else was charging $8, $9, $10. So I did a bit more research and I went on YouTube a bit more and I found this woman. And she was also making so much money. She had so many students. She's making millions from courses and communities. Did she have a good accent? Well, it was okay. But did her videos have accuracy? Did they have good research and good methodology? In my opinion, not really, no. But somehow she was able to make all of this money, get all of these students, and live the life that she wanted. And yet still, I was stuck here earning $8 an hour, struggling to find students. Why did all these people listen to her and to this Dr. Echo guy and not to me? Why did they choose them and not me? It was because they had authority. They had authority. But what actually is authority? Well, someone who is an authority is a person with extensive or specialized knowledge about a subject, e.g., an expert. But in reality, what it actually means is just these three things: someone with knowledge, someone with influence, and someone who is seen or considered trustworthy. That's it. That's what being an authority is in 2025. And so I started to realize that the old way just wasn't working. The old way being getting years of experience and getting mountains of qualifications, becoming the best teacher possible. that will get you students, that will get you higher paying clients. But actually, that wasn't the case, clearly, because there were people on the platform with PhDs and masters and all of these qualifications with 10, 20 years experience charging the same as me with just a few years of classroom experience. And I started to see it like this: you can be like the best, most delicious meal ever, but if you look like instant ramen, most people aren't even going to bother giving it a try. So they'll never find out that you're the best teacher because you don't appear to be the best teacher. And I realized that I wasn't appearing to be the best teacher. I was just a random teacher online. I wasn't the best teacher in the eyes of people finding me. And I realized as well, this is kind of like the brain rot era in 2025. People have short attention spans and they have a lack of trust. So these people who are working on their authority, working on their visibility, were able to get the money, get the students that they wanted. And the ones that were focusing just on becoming good teachers, just on their lesson plans and their methodology, weren't changing their outcomes. They weren't changing their position in their career. And so what I decided to do was shift my focus away from trying to become like the perfect teacher to actually just increasing my authority in the space. And as soon as I started to do that, things changed massively for me. I started to increase my prices. More students started coming in. So many students started coming in that I started releasing courses. And my income went from 3,000, maximum three, more like 2,000 a month, all the way up to 5, and some months even hitting 10 to 13,000. I was getting students coming in. I wasn't searching for students. Students were finding me. And of course, I grew my social media following at the same time. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking right now, oh, so to get authority, I just need followers, right? And that's going to take me so long just to get followers. And I want to tell you that's completely wrong. Followers were a symptom of me increasing my authority. It wasn't the fact that I got followers and then I got authority. It was the other way around. I got authority and followers were a symptom. To be honest, I could have started charging $50 an hour, even with 10 followers, if I'd have worked on my authority at the time. It's not about going viral. I want to make that super clear. It's about building that trust between you and a potential client. Just to demonstrate this point even further, I've got 3 videos here that I created, sorry. Which one do you think brought me the most students? One is 4.9 mil, one is 365K, and one is 98K. It definitely wasn't this one, and it wasn't this one. It was this one. This one brought me the most students. Why? Because in the video, I positioned myself as an authority. That's it. That's it. It's not about going viral. It's about building trust. So how does authority actually help you with your business? How does it actually make a difference? Well, we all want to earn more money. I'm sure all of us want to earn a little bit more money, at least, if not double or 3 times our income. And we want to choose when and who we teach, right? And so to do that, to increase our income and be able to choose when and who we teach, we either need to change one of 2 things. We need to change the cost, we need to increase the cost, or we need more students. Now, let's talk about increasing the cost. If you want to increase the cost, you need 2 things. 1, you need interest, so demand, and 2, you need results, right? Those are the 2 things that you need if you want to increase your cost. You need interest and results. Well, to get more interest and demand, you need more students. And to get more testimonials and results, you also need to have students. So if you want to increase your cost, you need to at least be appealing to more students. That's it. That's it. So it all comes down to student acquisition. But there are a few things that are stopping you and were stopping me from getting students. Now, let me explain why. First, we are living in a trust deficit right now. This means people have a huge, huge fear of trusting others. So if you are not familiar, you will not be trusted. In addition, because people don't want to trust others, they already have these huge, high expectations. And also, a lot of students don't have direction. They don't know what they need to work on. They don't know what they actually need. Because of this, you get bad students or you get 0 students. That's it. You get stingy students who don't want to pay a lot, or you get 0 students. The other issue is that there are too many options right now, and students don't know who to trust. Everyone is an English teacher. Everyone and their mum is an English teacher. And so if you're a student and you see that there is a $35 class with a teacher or a $5 platform class with a teacher, which one are you going to choose? Well, if you're managing your risk and managing your money, you're going to be choosing the cheap platform class because there's a chance that it could help you at a very cheap price. If you go for the more expensive class, the $35, you could end up losing out on this money if you don't like the teacher. So a lot of people are minimizing the risk and just choosing what's cheap because they don't know what they need, they don't know who to trust, and so they just choose whatever's cheap. And because of this, being an English teacher has become a cheap job. Being an English teacher is, the aesthetics of it, it's not very pretty right now. And you get a lot of people asking for free stuff or discounts, all these freeloaders. And you can even see it here. Like this is just, I scraped this pretty much this morning from a platform with native English teachers with master's degrees in English teaching. And this is what they're charging: $8, $11, $18 an hour, right? Or pounds, sorry. That's not a lot for someone with a master's degree in education who's a native speaker. It's crazy. But here's the thing: authority can solve all of these problems and get us more qualified students. So authority helps us become more familiar, so we don't have to worry about this issue. Authority sets reasonable expectations. So we don't have to worry about these super crazy high expectations of them wanting to become fluent in 2 months. Authority sets those expectations. And authority gives clear direction. They know who to follow. They follow you. You are the authority. They follow you. When it comes to the options, students already know who to trust. They don't need to take a gamble or a guess with a platform class or a real class. They know, I trust this guy. I've seen him a lot. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I will take a class with him. I want to take a class with him. So they trust that person. And because you become an expert as an authority, you're not just a random person. Remember, authority is an expert. You don't have these issues with cheap students because cheap students don't go to experts. It's that simple. So you already qualify all the students that you get. You want to imagine yourself as one of the top private schools in your country, right? Imagine the top private school in your country. Students and parents are begging to get their kids in there. They really want their kids in there. They're not asking for discounts. They're not having these crazy high expectations. They understand what the school does. They are familiar with the school, with the results of the school. They know what the school is skilled at, and that's why they send their students there. And so you need to kind of become the top school almost in your country. That's the idea, really. But how do you do that? How do you actually build authority? So step one is to care about the details. Everyone with authority has a field of expertise. I'll talk about this guy here. His name is Brian Cox. Maybe you've heard of him before. He's a very famous physicist here in the UK. Now, he specialized in physics, but now he does science, education. He's on TV, radio. He's a celebrity, and he makes a killing, and he loves what he does. He has a passion for it. The only reason why people come to him for science, for education, even for comedy, is because they know that he's an expert at physics. So being an expert in one thing allows you to diversify into similar topics. And it's the same with this guy here. We all know who he is, Warren Buffett. He's an expert when it comes to investing. He's a Wall Street banker, investment banker. But now people come to him for all kinds of things, for money, for personal finance. They come to him even when the government makes changes. And so he's an expert at one thing, yes, but it gives him authority in the whole space. And that's what you need to do. You need to have be an expert at one specific thing, and then you'll become an authority in that space. How did I do that? Well, I became an expert when it came to English misinformation online. I was debunking things with evidence and with advanced English. No one else was doing that. I focused on this. And what happened? People really resonated with that. They said, this guy knows what he's talking about. I explained everything step by step. So I took something very specific and I explained it step by step, whether that was nuance, pronunciation, or just incorrect English. I explained it clearly. I focused on something specific with each video, with each piece of value. and people loved it. They came, they got the message, and they came away from those videos, from that value, with something new. That's the idea. They came away with a different perspective. When you take one thing and you go into detail, you show expertise. It's that simple. It's almost like a filter or a sieve. So these people who are just want to learn English generally, they kind of get trapped by the sieve because you're too specific at one specific thing, right? You're too specific. Whereas the people that are genuinely interested in what you're doing, they will fall through and they will become the people who care, the people who trust you. That's what it needs to be. That's exactly what you want. The next thing, step 2, is to share that value. There is no point in having all this value and expertise if you do not share it. There are millions of expert teachers that miss out on so many opportunities because they stay hidden and they do not share things. They keep everything behind their little paywall as their secret. You need to share things. And that could be through loads of different methods. You could have an online email marketing list or, a newsletter of some kind. This is super good. You can send out grammar tips for 2 months for free to people. At the end of those 2 months, there will be a huge group of people in that kind of subset that have been watching and reading your newsletter that will really, really want whatever you're selling, whether it's a grammar course, whether it's a grammar booklet, they will want it. If they have read 2 months of your emails, they will want that. Simple as. You could even write a book, although I don't really recommend writing a book in this day and age because you've got access to things like social media, YouTube, etc. You can do webinars, right? Share that value. But one thing that's really important when you are sharing value is that you share it in the right place, right? There are a lot of universities in the UK that have a lot of foreign students, especially Chinese international students. Outside of pretty much every university in the UK, there are multiple bubble tea boba shops. Why? Because they know that the Chinese students who are at the university like their product, they like bubble tea, so they put their bubble tea right next to the university. It's exactly the same thing as going to the cinema and having sweets and pick and mix right next to the cinema or even inside the cinema. They know that people want to eat sweets when they go to watch a film, so they are right there. So be in the right place, really important. So make sure whatever you're doing, if it's email marketing or if it's writing a newsletter, social media, whatever, choose your platform correctly, choose where you want to go so that the people that are interested in what you're talking about and have a passion for the things that you have an expertise in are getting access to that. Now, there is one thing you need to contend with when you're providing value, and that is, of course, YouTube, TikTok, Google, ChatGPT, the internet. People can get value from anywhere right now. They can search up information anywhere. So how can you be more than just information? And that is the final step in becoming an authority figure, and that is to have a message or a purpose. You need to have some kind of either dream or unique methodology, or you need to shift people's beliefs. That's it. There should be something underneath everything that you are doing. Let me give you an example of how I did that. I created this video here. I filmed it in about 5 minutes with no script. I started out by saying, how many words do you need to know to speak like a native speaker? Already, many people think I need to know lots of words. I've set their perception already. I know what they're thinking. Then I turn around and say, actually, 75% of what native speakers say every day in conversation is basically just 800 words and phrases. So if you can understand those, you can start speaking and start getting involved in conversations with natives from today. Mind blown. Everyone's suddenly like, oh my gosh, it's that easy to start speaking? Because for a lot of people, they think things are harder than they actually are. So I broke it down, I set up their expectation and belief, and I shifted it. And then I said, if you want those 800 words and phrases, just get them in my course. You can get it with a link below. And we generated about $13,000 in the first 7 days of this running. It was crazy, absolutely nuts. Only because I had shifted their belief, right? And that's exactly what these guys are doing here. They are shifting beliefs, setting authority and shifting beliefs. The one thing you need to remember when you do switch a belief is that that should already solve half the problem, right? So the problem here was that many people were scared or worried about speaking English and they thought they needed a lot of words. And I turned it on its head and I said, you don't need a lot of words to start speaking English. already they're like, wow, okay, that's half of my problem gone. Especially when I provided evidence. Half of my problem's gone. My fear of speaking is always almost gone. All I need now is just those 800 words. And so I gave them the offer. The offer finishes the transformation. That's it. So your belief switch solves the first half, kind of the mindset issue. And then your offer, what you're offering, just solves the second half. That's it. So they need you for the second half. That's all it is. So the first half was me shifting their belief that they don't need tons of vocabulary. And the second part was me providing the vocabulary that could help them to start speaking straight away. And that's it. But you must make sure that your offer is unique to you. Your message is unique to you. This is a really important part. Just don't steal like everyone else's message and offer. You need to have your own message, your own offer that kind of underpins everything that you do. And so that is honestly how to become an authority in the space. And once again, it goes back to my belief that the only thing stopping most teachers from getting more students and having more free time and earning more is that they don't know how to become an authority. And I truly, truly believe that, because when I became an authority and when others in the space, my other friends became an authority in their space, everything clicked. Their business clicked. They got more students. They could earn more. They had more free time. They had more freedom, and they could have the business that they could be proud of. Honestly, it's not your teaching skill right now. It's your package. That's all it is. It's your package. Now, a lot of people, you might be thinking, what is my message? What should my offer be? I'm still unsure of how to do this, or I need a step-by-step guide, even in even more detail. And that is exactly why I created my Student Magnet Mentorship. Basically, it's a mentorship program to help you create and scale your offer, become an authority, and get more students. Simple as. It is everything I wish I had when I was struggling on those platforms 3 years ago. So I took everything that I wish I had, all the experience I got, everything I know that works, and put it into this easy to understand membership. Now, I've already been helping teachers to improve their English teaching businesses for the last year. But now that I decided to make this mentorship course, I wanted there to be some non-negotiables. I wanted there to be some things in there that are must-haves. And these are those. These are my non-negotiables. First, in the mentorship, there is one-to-one support. I think it's so important to be able to have a mentor, someone you can speak to, someone you can interact with, someone that you can get feedback from. I think there need to be realistic content plans, realistic value plans. How are you going to share that value? And it should be realistic, not post 15 videos a day. You don't have time for that. You have lessons to teach. So there should be realistic content or video or value plans based on your schedule, your life. There should be unique offer support, because I believe that everyone's offer should be different. So you shouldn't get a cookie cutter, copy and paste offer. You need your own offer that suits what you have, your methodology, your expertise, your personality, your beliefs. That shapes your offer. I think there should be submission feedback. That's a non-negotiable. You should be able to submit things and get feedback, and that is in the mentorship. Also, helping the student conversion setup. This is super challenging, especially when you're starting and you're not super tech savvy. Getting those students from viewers into actual paying students, that whole process, build that out for you. I think that's so important. I think teachers need that. And finally, and probably most importantly, is having that community accountability, being able to go through that journey with others on the same journey so that you can be held accountable, so that you can get encouraged by others, so that you can learn from others as well. So the first step is the personal brand glow up. We'll dial in your niche, get your messaging straight, and get your premium positioning so you'll attract dream students who see you as the obvious choice, creating that authority. Next, we'll help you with your business system setup. So building your HQ, payment systems, onboarding, everything that you need to start getting students in whilst you're asleep. That's it. That's the main goal of that step. Step 3 is the content and funnel build out. So getting 60 days of plug and play, realistic content, caption templates, lead magnets, email funnel, build that authority, get that value in, etc. And finally, having a scalable offer and teaching confidence. So designing an offer with you, together with you, so that you can earn more, teach less, and just feel proud of what you've got. Of course, there were some resources that I really wanted in there as well, such as a launch roadmap, so you know exactly how to launch an offer, getting rid of imposter syndrome, super important, like mindset training, having a pricing calculator so you know exactly how much you should price your lessons or your course or your groups, and plenty, plenty more. All of this is really for the me from 3 years ago. If you're like me 3 years ago, struggling to find students, earning nothing, and just want to teach your passion, make money, and potentially travel, which is what I wanted to do, then this mentorship will help you exactly with that. So you can apply what I've said today. You can apply all of the steps before yourself. Please go do it. You can do it yourself. But if you want personal support on a process which already works by someone who has already been on that journey, plus the feedback, the group calls, one-to-one, accountability, especially, which is really, really difficult, you should think about joining the mentorship. So feel free to book a strategy call with me below or by messaging me to see if that mentorship is right for you. And once again, I truly believe that with authority, you can become a successful teacher, get more students, get higher paying clients, and have the teaching business that you want. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.